Hello, everybody. My name is Corey Hosteller. This is my Unit 4 presentation for Data 625 for the spring 2025. My professor is Prasanna Mehta from UMGC. For this project, I selected the FBI NICS firearm background check data to do my analysis. It seems like every day in the news we see more shootings, more gun violence. I just kind of wanted to see some background information on that and to see what kind of background checks and the number of background checks that the FBI is doing. So let's dive into it. All right, so my first chart here through Tableau as I went and totaled the number of background checks performed by year. The FBI started this program in 1998, end of 1998. So I started at 1999 just to get a full year. Now, the important thing to remember about this data, it does not show you the number of firearms purchased. It's more of this data incorporates everything from all sorts of uh, returning guns and refunds and everything else you can do with a gun in the store that would require a background check. So this isn't the number of guns purchased, but it's just the number of background checks performed when when the transaction involves a firearm. You can see started out about 8 million, and up in the as of 2022 we're at 30 million. I use my Tableau just to give a linear estimate, trend line, forecast because it fits. You can see it's going up, and so we're projected by the end of this year we're looking um, about 37 million background checks related to firearms. So the program's in place, it's working. I think they said they found 2.4 million people were denied in this time frame from owning or purchasing or completing a transaction involving a firearm. Um, so it's working. It's just let's see if it's actually reducing what our gun violence is. So I thought this was interesting too. My next is just the sum per state. You can see the red are the most number of firearm background checks. So California, Texas, you would think because the population is big. Illinois with Chicago, all that gun violence there, 47 million background checks. And then Kentucky. The rest of them are pretty standard, 1, 2 million people based on the population. It's kind of interesting to see where the most gun transactions are being performed. This is again the legal transaction, gun shows and stuff like that won't really fall under this. But then if you look as of 2022, okay, remember California, Texas, Illinois, and Kentucky, and this is gun violence per state. And you can see the highest one is Louisiana. We didn't talk about that. Mississippi, Missouri. California is actually down here somewhere at 0.42. So this is per 100,000 people, the gun suicide rate and homicide rate. So it's actually low. They're doing a lot of checks. Okay, that supports our hypothesis that hey, yeah, these are working. The one Kentucky is kind of in the middle. The fact that our national average here in red is 5.9 per 100,000 is kind of sad. But you can see that some of the states that below that, the ones that had the most background checks are kind of low. Kentucky's right at the baseline, and then Illinois is a little above, so that's kind of an outlier. But next, I looked at the gun death rates per the last from 2013 to 2022. So we're doing all these background checks. You would expect the rate. This is again per 100,000. So you expect the total gun death rate to be going down. So we're doing all these background checks. People shouldn't be getting guns, but you can see in 2013 is 1.7, and then 3.6. So it was a significant increase for that time period. Same for homicides, and then suicides has been creeping up to a little dip at the end, but if you forecast this out, I'm sure it would keep on the rise. And then the next one was a sad one. We were looking at suicide deaths for teens. This is again 100,000. Um, so the 2013 same time frame, only it's this teen suicide, and then breaks it out by ethnicity. So the blacks is rising super much. Whites started up high and they kind of leveled out, but they're going down. But I'm sure this will be more of a trend line this way. And Hispanics are kind of leveling off too. But there is a gradual increase, and this is 20 years after the program started. So are the federal background checks, are they really effective? The only thing we need to do um, to stop gun violence. Um, So my data here is showing, yeah, the number of checks are increasing. We're doing more. We're catching, 2.4 million people in that time frame, but it's not really impacting our gun deaths and rates. And so these people are either not pushing their guns legally, or this need to do more steps to improve this process to get our gun deaths down. Um, and all this stuff comes to my references. I'll show you where I pulled my data from. So here are my references. So the FBI, the background checks obviously came from the FBI.gov. There's a link for you. And then the second two time series about the suicide and gun death rates came from Johns Hopkins School of Public Health. There's a link for you. Thank you for your time.